Yeah. Hi guys. Good evening. In the last class, we started our discussion related to what is JDBC and why we need to go for JDBC. So what is JDBC? Java Database Connectivity. JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. Who provided this JDBC? Sun Microsystem released JDBC API. What is there in the JDBC API? JDBC API contains set of interfaces and classes. JDBC API contains a set of interfaces and classes. We understand the story of the databases, right? So there are so many databases available in the market. For example, we are having Oracle database, we are having MySQL database, we are having SQL Server, and we are having MS SQL. Like that, there are several databases available in the market. All the databases developed by one company are from different companies. These databases are from different companies. Oracle database available, and we are having MySQL DB and Postgres DB is available. SQL Server database is also available, and Postgres is also one of the database. So like this, there are several databases available in the market, and these databases developed by different companies. Now we want to communicate with these databases by using Java program. We are Java developers. We are going to develop some programs by using Java. Our Java application should communicate with any database available in the market. To communicate with the databases, Sun Microsystem people released one API. That API is called as JDBC API. So Sun Microsystem released JSE API and JEE API. JSE API contains set of classes and interfaces. Those classes and interfaces are used to develop standalone applications. Similarly, to develop web applications, JEE API is available. To develop web applications, we have JEE API. As part of that JSE API, we are having JDBC API also. JDBC API also contains set of classes and a set of interfaces. But here, do we have any logic in the JDBC API to communicate with the database? No, logic is not available. Why there is no logic in the JDBC API to communicate with the database? Why there is no logic available in the JDBC API to communicate with the database? Because Java developed by Sun Microsystem, database developed by some other company, and it is not one database. There are several databases available in the market. Sun Microsystem can write the logic to communicate with the one database, but there are 20 databases available in the market. In future, some new databases also can come into the market. If we write the logic in the JDBC API to communicate with the database, what is the problem? Every time we need to change the logic. Sun Microsystem don't want to take that burden. Then what Sun Microsystem did? What Sun Microsystem did to communicate with the database using Java? Sun Microsystem did not write any code for that. Sun Microsystem did not do any coding for that. Sun Microsystem called database companies. The companies which developed a database, Sun Microsystem invited all the companies for a meeting, and Sun Microsystem told that, boss, our Java is very famous language in the market. So many companies are using Java to develop the project. And for the Java projects, they need a database. That means Java projects want to communicate with the database. If you want to promote your database, you tell to Java developers how to communicate with your database. Hey Oracle, if Java people want to use your database, you provide some logic to communicate with your database. Hey Microsoft, if Java people want to communicate with your database, you provide some classes to connect with your database. Hey Postgres, if Java people want to communicate with your database, you develop some classes. I'm not going to develop anything, because if I develop for one database, other companies will feel bad. And in future, some new databases also comes into picture. Every time I don't want to write the code to communicate with your database, I will do one thing. I will give JDBC API with a set of classes and a set of interfaces. Now, by using the JDBC API, you develop your classes to communicate with your database. Give your classes to Java developers. Java developers will use your classes, your methods to communicate with your database. That is what the trick played by Sun Micro system. So in the JDBC, just we have dummy classes and dummy interfaces. Do we have any logic in the JDBC to connect with the database directly? No logic. Why Sun Micro system did not give that logic? Because Sun Micro system don't have any database. Sun Micro system is having only language. That language should communicate with the database. Database is developed by other company. Java developed by Sun Micro system. We need a mediator. We need a mediator to establish the communication between Java and database. Now, so connecting with the database, if Java people use the database, Sun Micro system will get the benefit, database companies will get the benefit. Will Sun Micro system get any benefit out of that? No. Why? Java is free. Java is free. Anybody can use Java. Anybody can develop project by using Java. But databases are not free. Databases are not free. So providing the logic to connect with the database is important for Sun Micro system, or it is important for database companies? Important for database companies. Sun Micro system applied their brain. Okay, even if we write the logic to communicate with the database, we are not going to get any benefit, because our language is free. Java is free. Nobody will pay the money for Java. It is a free software. If I write the logic to communicate with the Oracle database, MySQL database, Postgres, MS SQL, I will not get any benefit. When I am not getting any benefit, why should I waste my time? Why should I waste my time? Sun Micro system thought that, hey Oracle database is commercial. If people purchase your Oracle database, you will get money. Okay, you develop the code to communicate with your database by using Java. So if you provide the logic to communicate with your database, then companies will purchase your Oracle database so that they will develop Java project by using Oracle database. Hey Microsoft, you have a SQL server. If you provide the logic for the Java people to communicate with the SQL server database, companies will purchase your database. They will pay money for you. So you develop the logic to connect with your database. Oracle, you develop the logic to connect with your database. That is benefit for you only. There is no benefit for Sun Micro system. Sun Micro system giving Java, that is free of cost. Nobody will pay money for me. If people want your database, they will pay money for you. They will purchase your database. They will develop the project. Then Oracle started thinking, okay, yes, whatever Sun Micro system is told, that is correct only. Now I have a Oracle database. There is a Java software. Java project cannot communicate with Oracle. Java is very famous in the market. So many projects are developing by using Java. Okay, let us spend 1 month of time. Let us write some code to communicate with the Oracle database by using Java. Finally, they did it. Oracle people developed some classes to communicate with the Oracle database. Those classes they have given for Java developers. That is called JDBC API implementation. Sun Microsystem provided just API. Oracle company provided implementation. What is the meaning of implementation? Classes, methods they developed. What is the purpose of those classes and those methods? Those classes, methods having the logic to communicate with the Oracle database. Okay, guys, if people can communicate with the Oracle database, who will get benefit? Sun Microsystem or Oracle? Oracle will get the benefit. Why Oracle will get the benefit? That a database is a commercial database. Companies will purchase Oracle database. Companies are already using Java to develop a project. Java they will use to develop the project. Oracle database they will purchase, and Java project will connect with the Oracle database. Okay, guys. So who is the mediator between Java and Oracle database? JDBC. For the JDBC API, Oracle people provided some implementation. Oracle people provided some implementation. That implementation is called driver. That implementation is called as driver. Oracle people provided a driver. Our JDBC API will use the driver given by Oracle database. That a driver knows how to connect with the Oracle database. Driver developed by Sun Microsystem or a driver developed by Oracle? Driver developed by Oracle. So now, as a Java people, as a Java programmers, if you want to connect with the Oracle database, we need to use Oracle driver. Are you getting my point? Similarly, MySQL database is available. If I want to connect with the MySQL database, then what we need? We need which driver? We need MySQL driver. What will be there in the driver? Driver knows how to connect with that database using Java program. Oracle database is having Oracle driver. MySQL database is having MySQL driver. Similarly, SQL Server developed by Microsoft. SQL Server is a Microsoft company database. Microsoft developed one driver for SQL driver. So Java people, if they want to communicate with the SQL driver, then Java program should use SQL Server driver. SQL Server driver will communicate with the SQL Server database. Similarly, Postgres database is available. To communicate with the Postgres database, Postgres driver is available. Java project should communicate with a Postgres driver. That driver will communicate with a Postgres database. Are you guys clear with my point? Yes. Now tell me, what is the database and what is the driver? What is a database and what is a driver? Database is a software. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Before databases, people used to store the data on the books. Then after, files came into picture. If I store the data in the file, that is very difficult to manage. We may lose that file. We may delete the file. File may be corrupted. Organizing the data in the file is very difficult. Retrieving the data from the file is very difficult, right? If I have some records in the file, can I read fifth record directly? No. Always we need to travel from first line to the last line in the file. Storing the data in the files, organizing the data in the files is very difficult. To overcome that problem, we are going for database concept. Database concept. So what is the database? Database is a software which is used to communicate with the, database is software which is used to store the data. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Now, we will download the database, we will install the database, we will communicate with the database. But not me, my project want to communicate with the database. I want to automate database communication in my project, Java projects we are developing. My Java project should be able to insert the data, update the data, retrieve the data. If Java project wants to communicate with the database, then we need a mediator between Java and database. Who is that mediator? JDBC. Who provided that JDBC? Sun Microsystem. But in that JDBC, just interfaces are available. Just interfaces are available. They don't know how to communicate with the database. They don't know how to communicate with the database. Simple example. I want to travel from institute to my house. Okay, I need one vehicle. I need one vehicle. Only vehicle is sufficient, or we need a driver also? Driver also. JDBC is just like a vehicle. JDBC is just like a vehicle. Using that vehicle, we can travel from Java application to database. But to drive that vehicle, we need a driver. Now you are booking Ola bike. Ola bike is there. You want to travel from Amirpet to High Tech City. Assume that tomorrow you have a interview in the company. Tomorrow you have a interview in the TCS company, Hyderabad, High Tech City, Mindspace. How many of you seen Mindspace? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What about remaining people? You have not visited Mindspace as of now. High Tech City as of now. क्या कर रहे हो भाई? One Sunday, metro is there. Metro is there na. 30 rupees to 40 rupees. Amirpet metro station. Directly you will go to High Tech City, Raidurgam. Get down. See all the software companies. See how software engineers will be there. Talk to them. Ask them what technology they are using, which company they are working. Right? Thousands of people you can see on the roads. चाय डब्बा के पास, पान डब्बा के पास, होटल के पास, बहुत लोग घूमते रहता है हाईटेक सिटी पे. You go to high-tech, not Sunday, Saturday they will not be there. Any weekday morning after class is completed, go to high-tech city on the weekday, Monday to Friday. See how software companies are available, how software employees are there, how they will roam on the roads, how they will do time pass in the high-tech city. Everything you can understand. By looking that environment, you will get inspired. अरे यार ये company में मैं काम करना है यार. That building looks very attractive. The buildings looks very attractive. If you go to Mindspace, right, 200 to 300 companies will be there. 200 to 300 software companies will be there in a row. You will see your future company there. By looking those buildings, you will get motivated. You will get motivated, right? When I was doing my Java course, I will take 10 to 15 resumes, keep in a bag, RTC bus, go to high-tech city, security guard. Any interview is there today for Java? हाँ भाई, ये resume ले लो, मैं आता हूँ बाद में. दूसरा कंपनी के पास जाओ. Is there any Java interview today? No. ठीक है, resume रखो. अगर है तो उसको दे दो, मैं कल आता हूँ. Like that we used to attend 10 to 15 interviews in a day. At that time, we don't have this much facility in Naukri platform, getting the interview calls, companies coming to institute. That environment was not there in the 2012 and 2013. Every day morning, 7 to 9 class होने के बाद, me and my friends take 10 to 15 Xerox copies of resume, keep in the bag, go to Amirpet bus station, RTC bus, go to high-tech city, go to each and every company gate, ask security guard, boss, is there any interview today? We collected almost 100 to 200 security guard phone numbers. They became our friends. अगर इंटरव्यू है तो कॉल करेगा, अशोक भैया कल इंटरव्यू है, कल आ जाओ आप. ठीक है, I will come tomorrow. Like that we collected 200 to 300 security guard phone numbers. Why? When there is an interview, they will know that now. Company will tell to them, today there is an interview, people will come, check their ID card, check their identity, PAN card. At that time, Aadhaar card was not there. Either voter card or PAN card they will check and they will allow for the interview. Like that we collected the numbers, we got the information from the security guard that there is an interview tomorrow, walk-in interviews, we use it to attend that. But now you no need to do all that stuff. Now companies will call you directly for your mobile. They will send you mail directly. So once you go to a high-tech city, you will understand that software culture, how companies will be there, how people will be there, how they are working there. You can interact with them. You will understand, right? If you listen to me, it is just one person experience. If you go there, you will meet hundreds of people there. Just roam around that high-tech city, Madhapur, Jubilee Hills, Banjara Hills. You will see the companies, you will understand the culture of IT. Okay? Good. Abhi thoda, now people will be very less in the high-tech city because many companies have given work from home opportunity. Right? Before COVID, thousands of people will be roaming on the roads in the high-tech city. They will come for tea break, lunch break, walking, lot of time pass they will do. To be frank, 8 hours work in the company, maximum people will do the work for 2 to 3 hours. Remaining 5 hours time pass. Even if I go to company also same thing. I will tell you day-to-day activities of software engineers in the company. They will go to office by 11 o'clock. Bag udhar dalte hain. Go to cafeteria, coffee, tea, tiffin. They will come by 12 or 12:30. They will check the mails. 1:30 lunch break. They will go for lunch cafeteria again. Then they will come back at 3 o'clock. खाने के बाद क्या होता? Half an hour they will sleep. Then half an hour they will sleep. हाँ भीड़ रहता टेबल पे यार, टेबल पे ऐसे सो जाते हैं, कौन देखेगा आपको? टेबल पे सो जाते हैं बच्चे. 3 to 3:30 people will sleep. Then again 3:30 they will wake up. They will check, is there any work today? Mails. 4 o'clock chai ka break. 4 or 4:30 they will go for break. Half an hour to 1 hour. Half an hour to 1 hour they will go for cafeteria. After tea, coffee, they will do walking. Sometime again 5 to 6 o'clock they will come to the floor. 6 to 7 or 7:30 meetings will be there. That means what work we have done today, what is our task. Some meetings will happen. From 7:30 start leaving. घर जाना है, बहुत मेरा घर बहुत दूर है, ट्रैफिक होता, मैं अभी निकलना पड़ेगा. That is what people will do in the company. Hardly 2 to 3 hours only they will work. Remaining time pass. Whenever manager comes to the floor, people will act like they are thinking and they are doing something. कुछ नहीं करता भाई, कुछ नहीं करेगा. All right. Good. Fine. So we are trying to understand what is JDBC API. What is JDBC API? JDBC API released by Sun Microsystem, which is used to establish connection between Java program and database. JDBC is just like a vehicle. JDBC is just like a vehicle. To drive that vehicle, we need a driver. To drive that vehicle, we need a driver. Who will provide that a driver? Database will provide the driver. If you want to go with the Oracle database, you need to take Oracle driver to drive our JDBC vehicle. Okay. If you want to communicate with MySQL database, then you need to take MySQL driver to drive JDBC vehicle. If you want to communicate with Postgres SQL database, you need to take the driver from Postgres database. Using that driver, we can connect with that database. Okay, now tell me, what is a driver? Driver is a program who knows how to connect with the database. So do we have a single driver for all the databases? No, we have different drivers. Every database software having its own driver. Every database software having its own driver. Sun Microsystem provided a vehicle to travel from Java application to database. Database software is responsible to provide the driver, that a driver is a program that a driver knows how to drive our JDBC vehicle. Are you clear with this? Now, when we are developing the Java application, first we need to decide which database we want to use for our project. Some projects will use Oracle database. Some projects will use MySQL database. Some projects will use both databases also. In my project, we have both Oracle and MySQL. I will tell you scenario also when to go for two databases also. Some projects will use only one database. Some projects will use multiple databases also. Now, first we need to decide which database we want to use. For example, I want to use Oracle database. Now, we need to download and install Oracle database. We need to download and install Oracle database. So that is called Oracle database server. What we need to install? Oracle database server. When we install Oracle database server, we will set some username for the database. We will set some password for the database, and there will be a protocol for the database. There will be a protocol for the database. There will be a host name for the database. Username, password, protocol, host name. Here, username means we know for the project, suppose SBI project we are developing. Username is SBI, password is SBI@123, like this. Now, protocol, which protocol that they are going to use and which port number they are going to use. For Oracle database, we are going to use TIN protocol with a 1521 port number. TIN is the protocol name, 1521 is the port number. For Oracle database, TIN protocol will be available and port number. Oracle database will use port number as 1521. 1521. Host name. Host name means machine details. In which machine your database software is installed. Currently, my database software will be installed on the same machine. If you install database software on the same machine, that same machine will be represented as local host. What is the meaning of local host? Same machine where my database software is installed. Tomorrow in the company, we will write the code in one computer. Database will be available in the another computer. To connect with the database, which is available in the another computer, we need to give IP address of the computer where our database is available. Okay, guys. So tomorrow when we go for company, Java project will run in one computer, database will run in another computer. How Java application will know that where is the database? By using IP address of the machine in which our database server is installed. But for time being, what we are going to do? Our program will run in our system, database also will run in our system. If database is also running in our system, then I am going to use local host. I'm going to use local host. So like this, we are going to install Oracle database. Oracle database server. All of you installed Oracle? MySQL? Both Oracle and MySQL both are installed. Still anybody did not install? Still anybody did not install database software? All of you have database software. Which database is available? Oracle and MySQL. Both are available now? Okay. For next few days, I'm going to use MySQL database. In my system, Oracle is not available, guys. I'm using MySQL database in my system. I'm going to use MySQL server. MySQL database server installed in my system. When we go for this MySQL database, username, password will be available, and MySQL database host name. The host name is, what is the host name? Local host. Local host we are using as a host name. The port number, MySQL database will use the port number as, what is the port number for MySQL? Come on. 3306 is the port number for MySQL database. So database server will be installed. Once we install the database server, we need to note down what is the username, password for the database, what is host name for the database, what is port number of the database. I am using MySQL database. Username, password, host name, and port number. Once the database software is installed, now database client also we can install. What is a database server? What is a database client? What is the database server and what is database client? Did you install Workbench also? What is Workbench? I think in the Oracle classes that faculty might have explained you how to install Oracle database, how to install MySQL database. MySQL server will be installed and MySQL client will be installed. What is the purpose of MySQL client software? Queries, right? To execute the queries, we need a client software. Database server is used to store the data. Client software is used to write the queries and execute the query. If you want to perform any operation with the database server, you need to write a query. To execute that query, we are using MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench will act as a client software. MySQL Workbench will act as a client software. Using this Workbench, we are going to connect with the server software. Which language we are going to use to communicate from client to server? SQL, structured query language. Structured query language, SQL we are going to use to communicate from database client to database server. Database server is used to store the data. Which data it has to store? We will execute that by using a SQL query. Where we are going to execute the SQL query? That we will execute by using client software. Create the table, insert the data. All operations we can do by using client software. Going forward, with the same database server, we are going to communicate by using Java application. Whatever the client software we are using to execute the query, same query can be executed by using our Java application also. Java application will execute the query to communicate with the database server software. Are you able to follow this? Okay, good. Next, make a note. Make a note. Database, first step, database. Write the notes. Huh? क्या बोला? Database. What is a database? Database is a software. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Example: Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgres, SQL. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Example: Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgres, SQL. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, and Postgres, SQL. To work with databases, we need to set up database server software. To work with database, we need to set up database. To work with databases, we need to install database software. We need to install database software. Database software. Yeah, take this diagram. To work with the database, we need to install database software. To work with databases, we need to install database software. Database is a software which is used to store the data permanently. Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgres, etc. To work with database, we need to install database software. To work with database, we need to install database software. Take the diagram. Yeah. Client software and server software. To work with databases, we need to install database software. Client and server. Next one. Database server will store the data. Database server software. Database server software will store the data. Will store the data in the form of tables, rows, and columns. Database server software will store the data in the form of tables, rows, and columns. Database server software will store the data in the form of tables, rows, and columns. Database server software will store the data in the form of tables, rows, and columns. Okay. Database client software is used to communicate with database server software. Database client software is used to communicate with database server software. Database client will communicate with database server. Okay. So client software and server software will communicate by using SQL queries. SQL. Database client and database server communication will happen through SQL, structured query language. Database server software will store the data in the form of tables, rows, and columns. Database client software is used to communicate with database server software. Database client will communicate with the database server by using SQL. SQL will be used to communicate with the database servers. Database client will use SQL queries to communicate with the database server. Similarly, our Java, can we consider Java also acting as a client for database server? Yes, Java application also will communicate with the database server, right? Database server software will store the data in the form of tables, rows, and columns. Database client software is used to communicate with the database server software. Who is going to act as the mediator between database client and database server? SQL. SQL will be used. SQL queries will be used to communicate with the database server. SQL queries, structured query language. structured query language. SQL queries will be used to communicate with database server. SQL queries will be used to communicate with database server. SQL queries will be used to communicate with the database server. Right. For Oracle database server, one minute. To communicate with Oracle database, to communicate with Oracle DB server, we can use SQL developer as a client software. Did you download SQL developer? Come on. Yeah. To communicate with Oracle database server, we can use SQL developer as a client software. To communicate with MySQL database, MySQL DB server, we can use MySQL Workbench. As a client software. To communicate with Oracle DB server, we can use SQL developer as a client software. To communicate with MySQL DB server, we can use MySQL Workbench as a client software. Got it? Yeah. Database is a software to store the data permanently. There are several databases available in the market. In order to use the database for our project, we need to install the database software. So database server will be available, database client will be available. Server is used to store the data permanently, client is used to communicate with the server. Between the server and client, SQL will be used as a mediator. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. To communicate with the Oracle database server, we can use SQL developer as a client software. To communicate with MySQL database server, we can use MySQL Workbench as a client software. What is the purpose of SQL developer and MySQL Workbench? SQL developer and MySQL Workbench softwares. Are used to execute SQL queries. That's it. Are they going to store the data? No. Data will be stored by server software. So we need to execute a query. Where we are going to execute the query? If you are using Oracle database, we will use SQL developer as a client. If you are using MySQL database, we will use Workbench as a client. So tell me, what is the purpose of SQL developer and MySQL Workbench? Just to execute the queries. Can we consider them as database client softwares? Yes. SQL developer is a client for Oracle database. MySQL Workbench is a client for MySQL database. Are you clear with my point? Yes. Next one, JDBC. Next one is JDBC. JDBC. JDBC API released by Sun Microsystem. JDBC API released by Sun Microsystem. Using JDBC API, we can communicate with the database software using Java program. JDBC API released by Sun Microsystem. What is the purpose of JDBC API? Using JDBC API, we can communicate with database software using Java program. JDBC API will act as a mediator between JDBC API will act as mediator between Java program and database. Java program and database. So here our Java program will be available and here our database server will be available. Java program wants to communicate with the database, so it is going to use JDBC API as a mediator. JDBC API released by Sun Microsystem. Using JDBC API, we can communicate with the database software using Java program. JDBC API will act as mediator between Java program and database software. Take this. Java program and database server. We will use JDBC API as a mediator. JDBC API contains set of interfaces. JDBC API contains set of interfaces and classes. JDBC API contains set of interfaces and classes. Set of interfaces and classes. भाई आपका नोट्स कहाँ भाई? Why are you not writing? लिख लो. It is like a revision. Why I am giving dictation? Right from JDBC. Important. Everybody should bring the notes. You have to write it. If you write the notes, then it is like a revision for you. It will be stored in the brain for a long time. If you just listen to the class, by the time you reach your hostel, you will forget that. Huh? Completed. Right. Database software vendors provided implementation for database software vendors provided implementation for JDBC API. Database software vendors provided implementation for JDBC API. What is the meaning of implementation of JDBC API? They provided a driver, right? They provided driver software. They provided DB driver. Database software vendors provided implementation for JDBC API. As part of implementation, as part of JDBC API implementation, they provided database driver. Every database software having its own driver. Database software vendors provided implementation for JDBC API. As part of JDBC API implementation, they provided database driver. Every database software having its own driver. They provided database driver. Every database software having its own driver. Oracle database having Oracle driver. MySQL database having MySQL driver. SQL server having SQL driver. Database software vendors provided implementation for JDBC API. As part of JDBC API implementation, they provided database driver. Every database having its own driver. Oracle database having Oracle driver. MySQL database having MySQL driver. SQL server having SQL driver. Every database having its own driver. Driver is a program which knows how to connect with database software. Driver is a program which knows how to connect with database software. Driver is a program which knows how to connect with the database software. Now take this diagram. Guys, in this box you take it as Oracle driver. Don't take just a driver. Take it as Oracle driver. Take MySQL driver, SQL server driver, and Postgres driver. Write that complete name there so that you will understand every database having its own driver. 1 minute. Here our Java application will come. Java application will communicate with JDBC API. JDBC API will communicate with the driver. Driver will communicate with the database. So this is Oracle driver. Oracle driver. Similarly here MySQL driver. Here SQL server driver. SQL driver. Here Postgres driver. Like this. First, we will develop Java application. Java application will connect with JDBC API. JDBC API will connect with driver. Driver will connect with database software. Every database software having its own driver. Every database software having its own driver. So what is a driver, guys? Driver is a program which will know how to connect with the database software. We have one driver or we have multiple drivers? Why multiple drivers? Yes, every database having its own driver. So now if we want to develop a Java program to communicate with Oracle database, what is required? Oracle driver is required. If I want to communicate with MySQL database from the Java program, then we need MySQL driver. Similarly for other databases also. Every database having its own driver. Driver is a program which is having the logic to connect with that database. So driver developed by Sun Microsystem or a driver developed by database vendor? Driver developed by database vendor. Then what Sun Microsystem has done? It provided just a set of interfaces. The interfaces implemented by database vendor. Now, how we will get that driver? That drivers we can download as a jar file. Driver nothing but a program. Collection of .class files are available. Those drivers we need to download and we need to add to our project build path. We need to add to project build path. Now let me check it. I installed MySQL database in my system. Let me see in the program files, MySQL. Yeah, I installed MySQL database. MySQL server is available. MySQL libs are available. DLLs are there. Not this. No. Yeah, guys, it is not available here. When you go for MySQL database, the MySQL driver we can download MySQL connector, that is called MySQL connector with Java. MySQL connector jar download. MySQL connector jar download we need to type in the Google, so you will get MySQL connector jar file. 1 minute. Connector jar. Go to download page. Yeah. What is this? Not MySQL installer. I need MySQL jar. No, not this. It is downloading the installer, guys. Yeah. Here MySQL connector jar file is there. I'm going to download this jar. Yeah. I have downloaded this jar file. I will send you the link to download that jar. Okay. So here I downloaded that jar file as a zip. Let me extract that zip. Once I extract it, you can see one file with a name called MySQL connector.jar. What will be there in the jar file? That class files. Who implemented those classes? MySQL database company, right? Now, in those dat classes, MySQL driver will be available. That MySQL driver knows how to connect with MySQL database. Similarly, if anybody want to connect with Oracle database, we need to download Oracle driver. That also will be available as a jar file. OJDBC 14.jar file will be available. For MySQL database, driver will be available in MySQL connector.jar file. For Oracle database, driver will be available in OJDBC 14.jar. I will give you those jar files. We need to add them to build path. Anybody who is using MySQL database, we need to add the MySQL connector jar file to build path. If anybody using Oracle database, then we need to use OJDBC 14.jar file for the build path. Okay, we need to download those drivers, right? So these driver softwares are available as jar files in the market. Note on the point. Database driver software released as jar files. MySQL driver we can find in MySQL-connector.jar. Similarly, Oracle driver is available in OJDBC 14.jar like this. MySQL driver will be available in MySQL connector.jar. JDBC driver, Oracle driver is available in OJDBC 14.jar. We need to download that jar. Jar file and add it to project build path. We need to download that jar file and add it to project build path. If you want to connect with Oracle jar file you need to download. That jar file contains Oracle driver class. That driver knows how to communicate with Oracle database. If you want to connect with the MySQL database, MySQL driver required. MySQL driver is available in MySQL connector jar. We need to download that jar and we need to add to project build path. We need to download that jar file and add it to project build path. Now come on guys, could you please read JDBC steps now? What is JDBC? JDBC API released by Sun Microsystem. What is the purpose of this JDBC? Using JDBC API, we can communicate with the database software using Java program. JDBC API will act as mediator between Java program and database software. Here Java program is available. Here database server is available. Who is the mediator? JDBC API is the mediator. JDBC API contains a set of interfaces and classes. Database software vendors provided implementation for JDBC API. What is the meaning of providing implementation? What is the meaning of providing the implementation? They provided a driver software. How they provided the driver? As a jar file. So now if I want to communicate with Oracle database, I need to download Oracle driver as a jar. I need to add the jar file to the build path. What is a jar? What will be there in the jar? Dot class files will be available. Okay. Oracle database is having Oracle driver. MySQL database having MySQL driver, SQL server is having SQL driver. So now driver is a program which knows how to connect with the database software. Database driver software released as a jar files. Now database drivers released as jar file. Now MySQL driver is available in MySQL connector jar. Oracle driver is available in OJDBC 14.jar. We need to download that jar file and we need to add to project build path. Perfect. Next one, guys, JDBC API components. Let us write JDBC API components. JDBC API components. So first we are going to write interfaces. Interfaces. Driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set. Driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, and result set. Result set and row set also is available. Result set and row set. We need to understand how to work with these interfaces. Interfaces, driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, and row set. These are the interfaces. Then classes. Classes. Driver manager. Driver manager and types. Exceptions. SQL exception. SQL exception. In the JDBC API, these interfaces we need to understand, these classes we need to understand, this exception we need to understand. Exception is SQL exception. Classes, driver manager and types. Interfaces, driver, connection, statement, callable statement and prepared statement, result set and row set. These are JDBC API components. For next 10 days, we are going to understand how to work with these interfaces, these classes, and these exceptions only. Working with JDBC API means working with these interfaces, classes, and exceptions. That's it. Remember that. What are the interfaces available, guys? Driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, row set. Once again, driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, row set. Those are classes or interfaces? Those are interfaces. What are the classes we have? Driver manager and come on, types will be available. And next one, what are the exceptions available? SQL exception is available. Now here driver represents which driver we want to use. Driver interface represents which driver. No, just listen. Driver interface will represent which driver we want to use. So driver is common or driver will change from database to database. Driver will change from database to database. If you are using Oracle database, then you need to use Oracle driver. If you are using MySQL database, we need to use MySQL driver. So driver interface will represent which driver we are going to use. Next one, connection. Connection means if Java application want to connect with the database, we need a connection. Connection will be created by whom? Who will establish the connection between Java and database? Driver. So which driver we are going to use, we need to specify. By using that driver, क्या कर रहा हूं मैं? Are you repairing that window? Huh? ఏం చేస్తున్నావు? Yeah, what is the driver? Huh? What is the driver? It is used to connect between database and jar file. Jar file. Driver is a program which is used to establish connection between Java and database. Now, if you want to connect from Java to database, we need a connection. We need a connection. Simple. From my mobile, if I want to send a message to your mobile, WhatsApp message, my mobile requires a net connection. Then only I can send a message to you. Hi. So similarly, if Java application want to connect with the database, we need a driver. What that driver will do? Driver will establish a communication by using connection. Okay, guys. So first we need to take the driver. By using the driver, we need to create a connection. Why connection? To execute our queries and to receive the data. I will execute a query. I want data. Select star from employee. That is my input. What should be the output? All the records available in the table. So to execute the queries, to give the input, to take the output, Java and database should be connected. For that we need a connection. Who will create that connection? Driver will create that connection. All right. What is the responsibility of the driver? To establish connection between Java and database. So driver will be represented by driver interface. Connection will be represented by connection interface. Once the connection is established, what we need to do? We need to execute the query. To execute the query, we are going to use statement, prepared statement, callable statement. There are three types of statements available. What are those three types of statements? Statement, prepared statement, callable statement. What is the purpose of these three? To execute our queries. Statement, prepared statement are used to execute queries. Callable statement is used to execute procedures and functions. Able to follow me? So what is the difference between statement and callable statement? Statement is used to execute the queries. Callable statement is used to execute the procedures and functions. Prepared statement, both are same. A small difference is there. We will discuss in the coming classes. Right. What is a driver? What is a connection? What is a statement? Can you guys tell me? Driver is used to establish connection between the database. To represent that connection, we have a connection interface. Once a connection is established, what we need to do? We need to execute the query. What query? SQL query. What query we are going to execute, guys? SQL query. How to execute that SQL query? For that we have statement, prepared statement, callable statement. When to go for statement, prepared statement? To execute normal SQL queries. When to go for callable statement? To execute procedures and functions. Is the procedures concept completed? No, not completed. Okay, that will come in the Oracle classes. What is a procedure? When we have a procedure, nothing but SQL program. How we are writing a Java program to do some operation. In the SQL also, we can write the program. Procedure, nothing but collection of SQL queries we will execute. Once we write a procedure in the database, to call that procedure from the Java, we are going for callable statement. Okay, next one, result set and row set. Result set to row set are used to represent data given by database. When I execute a select query, database will return some result for us. The result will be represented by using result set. Result set nothing but collection of records. Select star from table. What is the meaning of select star from table? Retrieve all the records from the table. In the database, there is a table. Retrieve all the records from the table. All the records will be represented by using result set. By using result set. Tell me, what is a result set? What is a result set? Result set is an interface which is used to represent all the records which are written by database. Good. What is the callable statement? To execute the procedures and function. Procedure nothing but a program in the database software. What is statement? Prepared statement to execute normal SQL queries. What is the connection? To establish the connection between Java and database. Who will establish connection between Java and database? Driver. What is a driver? Driver is a program. Drivers are common for all the databases, are different from database to database, different from database to database. Who provided that driver? Database only. Oracle database having Oracle driver. MySQL database having MySQL driver. So driver will act as a mediator between Java and database. That a driver is responsible to create the connection. Once a connection is created, we can execute the query and we can get the result. Are you clear with my point? Yes. So tell me, what are the interfaces? Driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, row set. Those are interfaces. Okay. Next one, coming to classes. What are the classes available? Driver manager class available, types available. Driver manager is a class which is used to manage the driver which we are using. It is responsible to load the driver and it will use the driver to perform the operation. The class which will manage the driver software is called driver manager. Clear? Next one, exception. If you execute any JDBC code, there is a chance of getting a problem. That problem is represented by using SQL exception. If you try to load a file not found exception. If you go for buffer reader, IO exception. Similarly, when you perform SQL operations in the Java, there is a chance of getting SQL exception. Clear? Interfaces available, classes available, exceptions also available. So we need to understand how to work with these classes, interfaces and exceptions. Then you can become a JDBC programmer. You can perform operations with the database by using Java program. Are you clear with my point? Yes. Next point. Steps to develop JDBC program. Steps to develop JDBC program. First step, load the driver class. Load the driver class. Get connection object. Get connection from database. First step is load the driver. Steps to develop JDBC program. First step is load the driver class. First step is load the driver class. Second step, get connection from database. Get connection from database. Create statement or prepared statement or callable statement. First step, load the driver class. First step is load the driver class. Second step is get connection from database. Third step, create the statement or prepared statement or callable statement. Fourth step, execute query. Execute query. Fifth step, process the result. Sixth step, close the connection. For next 10 days, every day we are going to work with these 6 steps only. In every JDBC program, we need to perform these 6 steps. Load the driver class, get the connection from database, create statement, execute query, process the result, and close the connection. These 6 steps theoretically. Now we need to convert these 6 steps into program. 6 lines of code we need to write. With just 6 lines of code if you write, then our Java program can communicate with the database. What is the first step? Load the driver class. Depends upon the database, right? Load the driver class depends on the database we are using. How to use the driver? Driver is available in the jar. That jar we need to set to build path. Then we need to load the driver. Once the driver is loaded, we need to tell to driver, hey driver, get me connection from the database. Get me connection from the database. Now, once we got the connection, by using that connection, we are going to create a statement or prepared statement or callable statement. Depends upon the requirement. Okay, if you want to execute just one insert query, statement or prepared statement sufficient. If you want to execute a procedure, callable statement is required. We will create the statement and we are going to execute our query. To execute the query, there are some methods. Once a query is executed, we will get some result. Select star from table. Database will give the result for us. Okay, once we got the result, we need to process the result, display the result on the console, get each record from the result set. Result set will represent our data. Get the record from the result set, print on the console. Once the result set processing is completed, we opened a connection with the database, right? We are going to close that connection. When you open a database connection, once our operation is completed, we need to close the connection. Are you clear, guys? Sir, what will happen if I don't close the connection? What will happen if I don't close the connection? Every database will have limited connections. Every database will have limited connections. For example, database having 100 connections. 100 times I opened connections. 100 connections completed. One person can communicate with the database? No, because there is no connection. Are you clear? Every database will have limited connection. So when your program open a connection, perform the operation, close it. If you close it, that connection can be reused by another program. If you open and if you don't close the connection, over a period of time, database connections will complete. Other programs cannot connect with your database. That's why closing the connection is very, very, very important. Are you clear with my point? Yeah. So can you tell me what are the steps we need to do? First, we need to load the driver. Hold on. What is the driver? Driver is a software which is used to communicate with the database. Who provided the driver? Database vendor. First step, load the driver. Second step, get the connection. Why connection? Connection is required to communicate with the database. So am I going to create the connection or a driver will create the connection? Driver will create the connection. How to manage the driver? Driver manager is available. Driver manager is available to manage the driver. I will tell to driver, hey driver, go to database, get the connection. How driver will understand where is the database, which database, what is username, what is password. Sometimes in today, database will be available in my system. Tomorrow when you go for a company, database will be available in your system. Huh? No, they will have a computer. In that computer, database will be available. How our driver will understand where is the database server? We need to provide database credentials, username of the database, password of the database, database location. That is called database URL. So here, what is the second step? Get the connection. In order to get the connection, we need to tell to the driver what is the address of the database, where the database available. Is it available in our computer or is it available in the another computer? Tell the address of the database and tell the username of the database, password of the database. Based on that data, driver will create a connection, will establish the connection, will give the connection to us. Okay, now once I got the connection, what is the next step? Create a statement. Why I need to create a statement? To execute the query. Statement is used to execute the query. What kind of query? Anything. CRUD operation. Insert, update, delete, retrieve. All queries you can execute by using statement. Suppose if I want to execute a procedure, callable statement. If you want to execute a procedure, then we will go for callable statement. Once a query is executed, database will return the result. We need to process the result. Results will be represented by result set. Result will be represented by result set. We need to process the result set. Once our work is completed, then close the connection. Why we need to close the connection? Other developers, other programs can reuse the same connection. So database will have a limited connections. If we don't close the connection, other programs cannot communicate with the database. So these are 6 standard steps we need to perform to establish communication between Java and database. So these are 6 steps we need to convert into program. That program will communicate with the database. Are you clear? Yeah. Any questions, anyone? Yeah. All of you, please read it. Today's notes, revise. Database, sorry, not database. Advanced Java is a foundation course for Spring. Without having knowledge on advanced Java, you cannot understand the Spring and Spring Boot. So it is very, very important to understand the projects. Yeah, read all the points. Revise, revision. Online people, can you guys attend the class at 11 o'clock also? Morning? Offline people, you are okay, right? Online people, can you attend the class at 11 also? Yes, na? JDBC only, morning and evening. No? जल्दी खत्म कर देंगे यार इसको. No? Yeah, come on, read it, you revise it. Revise it. So we understood what is database, what is a database server, what is database client, what is JDBC API, what is a database driver, And what are the classes interfaces available in the JDBC API? What are the steps we need to follow to develop our JDBC program? Steps to develop JDBC program. If you all of you okay at 11 o'clock, before Pongal we can complete JDBC and up of the servlets also. The reason is, listen to me, the reason is this JDBC and servlets anyhow we are not going to use in the project. What we are going to use in the project? Spring framework. So these are just for knowledge purpose we are discussing. So if all of you okay, then I am also okay to take the class at 11 o'clock. Tomorrow you guys decide and let me know. Then tomorrow we will take a final decision. Okay? Both online and offline, dono. Only one class per day, huh? Jaldi. You guys decide. Take a time today. Decide tomorrow. Let me know your opinion. Based on that, we will take a decision tomorrow. Okay? Yeah. कल पैनल करता हूँ. Come on, guys. Completed your revision. Yeah. So can you tell me what are the interfaces we need to learn now? Driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, row set, classes, driver manager, type, exception, SQL, exception. What is the purpose of statement? To execute the SQL queries by using Java program. What is the purpose of driver manager class? To manage the driver software. What is the purpose of connection? It will represent a link between the Java and database. What is the result set? What is the result set? Result set will represent the records written by the database software. Whenever we execute a query, select query to retrieve the data which written by the database will be represented by result set. Got it? Next one. What is SQL exception? If any problem occurred in the JDBC program, then we will get one exception that is called SQL exception. What are the steps to develop a JDBC program? Load the driver, get the connection, create the statement, execute the query, process the result, close the connection. Is it mandatory to get the connection? Can I connect with the database without connection? No. If you don't have without having a network to the mobile, can I send you a WhatsApp message? No. Internet is mandatory for a mobile to send a message. Similarly, if a Java program want to execute a query with the database, Java is one language, database is one software, connection is required. Who will establish that connection? Driver will establish. We need to load the driver. Why we need to load the driver? Driver knows how to establish connection with the database. Can I use one driver for all the databases? No, database to database, driver will be different. Good. Is it mandatory to close the connection? Why? Why it is mandatory to close the connection? Every database will have limited connections. If you don't close the connection, connections will complete. In future, other programs cannot communicate with our database. So that's why as a good programmer, when you open a connection, after your work is completed, close that connection so that your connections can be database connections can be reused by other programmers. So while doing the course, Java program database will be available in our computer only. Tomorrow, once you join in the company, your database will be available in some other computer. Your programs will be available in your computer. Still, your Java program should connect with the database by using IP address of the machine where the database is available. Okay. In the Spring Boot course, I will explain you how to create the database in the cloud, in the AWS cloud, how our Java program can connect with the cloud database also. That integration also we are going to understand. Already I uploaded a video in the YouTube, how to connect with AWS cloud database. Now you may not understand that. In the Spring Boot classes, you will understand how to install the database in the cloud and how to connect with the cloud database as well. But for now, for advanced Java course, we will use the database in our computer only. That is our local database. In future, cloud databases. In the companies also, cloud databases will be available. Got it? Yep. Fine. With this, I'm stopping for today. We'll continue in the tomorrow session. Don't miss tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to develop our first JDBC program. Okay, guys. Thank you.